Welcome everybody to Veteran Voices. This is the first edition of what I hope to be a monthly series highlighting different kinds of veteran voices throughout our CSUSM community. My name is Jake Pierce. I am a fourth year history major, and I'm also the ASI Student Veteran Representative. And today I'm very happy to be introducing three Latinx members of the veteran community and our CSUSM community. I'm going to go ahead and start off with Javi. Javi, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. My name is Javi Avila. This semester makes my beginning to my sophomore year, no, my senior year, and I'm pretty excited to graduate. I'm a Marine Corps veteran. I was stationed in Okinawa, Japan, and then I finished my enlistment in Camp Pendleton. I guess my primary spot of residence would be San Diego, California.
Thank you so much, Javi. Danny, go ahead and go next.
Oh, hi. I'm Danny. I'm music major in here at Cal State San Marcos. I'm beginning my second year. Still in the middle of the road. Having a good time. I'm an Army veteran, and then I got stationed in Anchorage, Alaska, Fort Richardson, and I did only one contract. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, and Emiliano, you're last but not least. Go ahead and go, brother.
Hi, I'm Emiliano Reyes. I am a senior. I am a molecular cell biology major. I also do research on campus with Dr. Spady. We work with bobcats. I'm an Army veteran. I got lucky and got to spend 4 years in Hawaii, and then I got out, and this is where I'm at now.
Awesome. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here and sharing your stories, first of all, before we start. Let's start with something easy. What inspired you to join the military? Danny, do you want to go ahead and start that off?
Sure. I mean, everybody has their own reason. That's something like when you talk to your recruiter, they say like, oh, I don't know. Everybody has their own reason. You maybe have yours totally different from someone else. And then when you actually start working, you notice that everybody has their own reasons. Most of the times people are just trying to provide for their families. And the reason, me being an immigrant, it was because I was looking for education. And then I heard in the military you have the GI Bill. So I was trying to get some education, and that was my main reason.
So you're a first generation American, correct?
No, yeah, that's actually a different story. So I'm from Brazil. Yeah.
Okay.
So I was born in Brazil. I lived in Brazil most of my life, and I came to the U.S. But it's actually funny because I'm Latin but not Hispanic, and a lot of people think that just because you're from South America you're Hispanic, but Brazil is the exception of the rule. So yeah, I'm Latin but not Hispanic. I speak Portuguese. But yeah, the main reason to joining was for education.
Awesome. Emiliano, is yours similar or different?
I would say that I joined because I was part of the economic draft, I would say, especially because my parents are both immigrants. And so, them navigating through the system didn't allow them to pretty much plan for me going to college and things like that. They just worked for subsistence and for survival to keep us alive. And so I was pretty much funneled into the Army as a way of surviving in the system. Yeah, so that's how I ended up pretty much in the Army. I mean, I obviously I could have taken different routes. It was eventually a choice that I made, but I think that it was, I would say, economic draft is my reason. Yeah.
Did you have any family, anything like that had previously served that inspired that, or was it just like, man, this is the best option?
Yeah, it was pretty much, man, this is the best option for where I'm at and for the plan, for my plan. I knew that if I went in and, I did my time, I would at least come out with the GI Bill. The plan was go in, I probably won't like it, which didn't end up being completely true, but you know, the eventual goal was to come out with the GI Bill, and it worked out. You know, now I'm you know, as I said, I'm a senior now. I'm about to graduate, and you know, I won't have any student debt, so it's going to be good.
I mean, that definitely is a big selling point, right? I mean, I think that goes across demographics, is the idea that you get that free college.
Right.
I know that was definitely when I signed my first contract, I was like, oh man, like 4 years and to get that college, and it's going to be great.
Yeah.
Javi, is that your experience as well, or did you join for different reasons?
I mean, I guess that was a plus, but I joined because growing up, like in church, sometimes for special events and occasions, I remember seeing like people in my community church like show up with their nice uniforms and everything like that. So I was like, oh man, that's cool. And then as I grew up, I had an older sister that joined the Marine Corps before me, and she did the MSG duty program. So she was traveling, and I thought it was cool, and I wanted to do the MSG program too. Fortunately, by the time I joined, they implemented a height requirement, so I was able to do that. And so, yeah, but yeah, definitely the GI Bill. Very thankful for that. But yeah, not. I saw my sister traveling, and I think that enticed me to not only doing something honorable for my country, but to get the opportunity to travel.
Okay, no, you do realize I'm gonna have to ask what the height requirement was.
I think it changed to like I was with the shortest height. So I think the shortest, I didn't need a waiver. I think it was like 58 inches or something like that. 56, 58. I think it was 58 or 59, something like that. And so then the MSG program, I think they made it to like 60 or 61 or something like that. And I didn't make it, and I remember asking my career planner, like, oh, is there like a height waiver and blah blah, but I didn't end up pursuing that, and it seemed like a dead end thing because of the height requirement. So
No, and that's tough. I know, like when I joined, I was 6'2", so I wasn't really worried about that. But I know that I definitely was underweight, which may sound weird, but I was underweight, but like for that, right? All I did was eat a lot. They just fed me extra food, but there's
yeah,
not really. It's not like they can do that. They can't put you on like a stretching machine for the
no,
height, so that's
yeah,
kind of a problem.
yeah, doesn't work like that.
um, did you guys did you all feel like you got the jobs that you wanted, or did you feel that you were pressured to take certain jobs based off expectations that people might have for you?
Ooh, can I start this
Um,
one?
oh, you can definitely start.
Oh my God. So I went to the recruiting office, and I told them straight up that I wanted to go in as a medic, because science is my thing, obviously, and so I wanted to go in as a medic. Recruiter starts going, yeah, we can do that for you, no problem, So I start going through the process, and it's 2 weeks before I'm supposed to ship out, and I had to go to the ASVAP center, which is the place where you do all your processing and stuff like that. So go there, and I had already quit my job, unenrolled from school, and they tell me there 2 weeks before that my recruiter had not held down my job, and now I had 3 options. I could go infantry, I could go mechanic route, or I can go intelligence. And I ended up choosing mechanic because I figured I'd be working with my hands, which is what I like doing. But then they told me, they're like, it's okay, just choose this job now. Once you're done with basic training, you'll have an opportunity to switch your job then. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I remember finishing basic training. We had like this meeting with a high up officer, and I remember raising my hand and asking him like, hey, when will I get that opportunity to switch my job? And then him and along with all the other officers just started laughing at me, and that was how I found out that I wasn't going to be a medic in the Army. Yeah.
How about you, Javi? Did you have anything similar to that? Did you get the job you wanted? I don't know, did you enjoy the job that you had?
So I ended up enlisting at the same recruiting station my sister did. And I just pretty much told the recruiter, like, hey, sign me up, like, do what you need to do, do the paperwork. And then he was like, all right, cool. Like, are you interested in like admin? You could promote fast. And then I was like, okay, whatever. Like, I didn't have a specific job. I just wanted to join. I was okay with being admin. So I was like, okay, yeah, sure. Is that going to make me leave sooner? And he was like, yeah, we could ship you out this date. So I just took it. It wasn't, I didn't go in it requesting a specific job. I just wanted to do
Were you
whatever.
familiar with the jobs at all, or were you just like you didn't really care?
Um, I did. I think I was interested in Intel, but they they were gonna like not be able to ship me out sooner, and I just wanted to leave like as soon as possible. So I just was okay with admin.
No, that's cool. That's
Yeah.
cool. And Danny, I would love to hear your perspective on this, just because in terms of like getting the job that you got in the military, because I know for me, um, I uh, I joined the military not knowing much about it, which may sound weird. They were like, "What job do you want to do?" And I was like, "What's easiest?" Which probably wasn't the answer that they wanted to hear. But like coming from a different country as as your point of origin, like you may have known more than me at the time, but like you don't have the opportunity to learn as much possibly. So did you get the job that you wanted? Were you as well versed in the roles and responsibilities of different jobs in the military?
Oh no, I definitely didn't get the job I wanted. Um, I did a lot of research before. I went to the army website and I looked it up, all the jobs and everything. And then at the time, I was already working with animals. I still do. I'm a veterinary assistant. So, in the army, is the only of the military forces that actually has the veterinary assistant, that has veterinarians and the assistants as active duty, while all the other forces, the anything like animal related they have, it's like a police with the animals. And I wanted to do that, and then or something like intelligence related or computer related. But I think because I wasn't a citizen at the time, I was enlisting with my green card. I couldn't get those jobs. I don't know how much of it was the truth or how much it wasn't. I was able to get a list like after a lot of research, because also that information is not very well explained in the, yeah, that's my cat here, Lola. Uh, it's not very well explained on their army website. And then after a while, I could see that they have a list of all the MOSs, and then which one you can join being an immigrant. I mean, which one you can join having a green card, or which one you can join being a citizen. So anything computer related, pretty much I couldn't. And the animals one that I wanted to do, no. And then you know how recruiters they have the quote to meet. So and then I didn't know at the time that if I say like, hey, if you stay strong, you say no, I want this job, and then if not, I'm walking away. Then they're gonna actually try to do something. But if not, they're just gonna push you. And then yeah, that was similar to Emiliano. So he's like, oh yeah, you cannot do this because you're an immigrant. You cannot do that. Blah blah blah. But hey, what is good for you here now? It's we have like infantry. You can be a driver, or you can be a cook. And then I was like, okay, I know I'm joining the army, but I'm not that ready for full on action. So infantry, definitely not. And then I was thinking between the other two. I was really thinking about being a driver and a cook, and then I end up deciding being a cook because it's something that can be really useful for the rest of your life, even if you stay in the military or not. It's going to be much more useful, like to get a job in the civilian side. So that's what I did. And so I became a cook.
I definitely, so like I said, I didn't know much
Sorry to
about
interrupt you, just
joining,
like
right?
similar
Oh,
to
no, you're fine, please.
similar to Emiliano, the recruiter also said, no, you can change later, don't worry about it. I mean, at least he didn't say like right after basic training. He said like as soon as you get to your first duty station, you can change. But the way they talk about it, it's like it was the easiest thing. It's like you can just go and change. And then I didn't have anyone laughing in my face, but it was almost like that.
The wonderful stories of recruiters continue. I feel like that's
Yeah.
going to be a constant theme through this thing. I know. So like for me, right? I signed up and I scored well on the ASVAB, so they had me sign up for this for like what basically like a nuclear engineer on a ship, and I was going to do all that stuff. And they were like, yeah, it pays really well and all that stuff. And then I got to boot camp, and they do all the physical on you there, just like they do at MEPS, right? And they did my colorblindness test, and I failed.
Oh no.
And I passed at MEPS, but I failed there twice. And so all of a sudden they were just like, you could do 6 jobs. And so I can definitely relate to, and I was already there. Like it's not like I could just be like, all right, well, I'll see you at the Burger King later on then, right? Like I can definitely relate to that concept of just like, you can do these 3 jobs. Yeah,
No, yeah, like you mentioned the ASVAB test. Yeah, I scored a pretty good score. I did a pretty good grade, and even the recruiter was like, "Whoa, you did do that, huh?" Because like apparently something like most of the immigrants, maybe because the language barrier, the grades are not that good. And then with the grades I got, I could pretty much get any job that I wanted. But because I wasn't citizen. And that was funny. That also something that speaks to even like the mentality inside there, because I started as a specialist before. So when I was doing my cook training, and then the instructors or the sergeants would see me there as an E4, it's like every single time that I would see a new instructor or a new sergeant, they look at me, is like, "What are you doing here?" I was like, what? Like grade 4 is like, are you reclass? I was like, no. Like, what are you doing here? And then I found out. I mean, that's a little bit sad, but that's the reality. I found out the reality about cooks. So it's like the lowest grade that you need to get in. It's like one of the easiest jobs to get in because, like, I don't remember the grades on the SVAB, but being a cook, it's like one of the lowest. And then when I was doing my AIT training, I would see like everybody who'd have like physical issue, and then they would you get kicked out of the army, or going to reclass you, and then they would reclass you as a cook, or discipline issues, like, oh, you got caught with something in your barracks, or got caught smoking, anything like that, doing something stupid, disciplinary. They reclass you as a cook. So it was a tough crowd there in AIT.
I can believe that for sure. I can definitely.
Yeah, and I was there for lack of option. But anyway, I went through and
No, I mean, and we're all glad you did. I mean, somebody needed to cook the food, right?
yeah.
And I'd prefer to have intelligent people cook my food, because Lord knows I don't need anything crazy going on in there. Speaking of those jobs, when you got to your jobs, right? What did you notice anything specific about any demographics, Danny? Anything like that? Like you're talking about how they kind of dumped you into the cooking thing, right? And they dumped a whole bunch of people. Did the demographics, were they reflective of the Army as a whole, or was it kind of was it different than that?
Well, yes, because it's funny, because like I think I told you that, because back in Brazil, the idea that the media shows for the rest of the world about the military, it's pretty much just white people, like, because that's what they show, is just like white people getting into planes and going to Afghanistan to fight. That's the main idea. So when you think about the US military, that's the first thing that comes to your mind, because that's what the media feeds you. It's just like white people in uniform going to Afghanistan, But then when I moved to the US, I saw how the reality was completely different. And especially working in the kitchen, the majority were the minorities. So it was like pretty much most of the people were African American and Latin, like from all over Central America and a little bit of South America. Even the civilians, because at the kitchen we had civilian cooks as well. And there was maybe a couple Asians and a few whites, but like yeah, the majority were the Latins and African Americans. That's what, at least that's what I noticed in my little bubble in the kitchen. Because also being in the kitchen was a little bit different because not always you would report to your unit. Most of the times you'd be like, we are doing our own thing in the kitchen. It's not like as the other job that you're go to the to your to the building of your unit and that kind of thing, you know. So yeah, I guess that's kind of it.
Absolutely. Javi, was your job pretty well diverse, or was it specifically focused on, not focused, but like was it primarily filled with one demographic or the other?
No, I can say that my MOS, like my job specialty, was pretty diverse. We had pretty much everybody on the spectrum. Um, and it honestly, it wasn't something that I did pay attention to because for me, I just saw everybody as the same. Like
No, for sure.
regardless of color, like I'm not sure if you guys have the same concept like in the army, but like in the Marine Corps, it's definitely like everybody's green. So it doesn't matter what color you are, you just mind your business, you do your job, and you embrace the stuff together, and it brings you guys together.
No, for sure. I as a corpsman who was with Marines for a while, everyone's hated equally, is what I remember.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
yeah, everyone is equally worthless.
Yes.
No, I mean that in the most loving sense, but you know what I'm saying. Um, Emiliano, how about your job? Considering that you didn't get the job you wanted.
Yeah, as a mechanic, we were pretty diverse. So racially, we were pretty diverse, but like the economic spectrum that we were all in was pretty much the same. We were all probably lower middle class to low income, and so that's probably the uniting factor in among the mechanics.
No, for sure, for sure. And I can tell you from the medical perspective, at least from the Navy side, it was pretty well diverse as well, right? Like I would say the one thing that always struck me was there was a lot of Filipino corpsmen, but I think that goes back to just the history of the Navy in the Philippines and everything that goes back there. But for the most part, yeah. And I agree kind of what Javi was saying with the everyone is green kind of mentality, right? I think in boot camp, they do a really good job of making you of beating out the part of you that will look at somebody and try to make them an other. That you are all one body. It kind of feels like, at least in my experience. I don't know if you guys felt the same way, of just like any biases you might have had against one region or one group or another might have been beaten out gently. But I don't know if that was your experience or not.
That definitely was my experience. I think the people that, to some degree did stand out or were treated differently was because they got themselves in a situation they shouldn't have been. So, I mean, I think with that, with misconduct, you definitely get, a different set of eyes on you. But if you were just like doing your job, doing what you're supposed to do, then for the most part, you just kind of flowed with everybody else. So.
Emiliano, was it your experience as well, or?
Well, in the Army, they tried to do their best with that, but I did find it a lot of times that some white cis males needed to let me know that I was the first Hispanic that they had ever came in contact with, or like actually had a relation, like a buddy relationship with. I even had somebody in basic training tell me that he couldn't ever bring me to his house to meet his parents because the moment I stepped foot on his property, his dad would probably shoot me. Even though he considered himself a good friend of mine at that point, you know. So I did experience some of that stuff. I think it was it's a process, you know. A lot of people, it was their first time ever mingling with people that did not look like them, and so they had a lot of issues to work out and a lot of ideas to overcome. I do think that the Army has rules in place to make sure that, you know, it doesn't get out of control. But I mean, it's just the nature of the beast sometimes, you know. When you put a bunch of people together in a close proximity that, you know, otherwise would probably have never interacted, then you're going to get situations like that. So I did deal with some other stuff in basic training. A lot of, again, white cis males felt like they were the superior in intellect or things like that. So they would always try and take the lead and never let me or any other people of color take charge. You know, they always had to be the one telling us what to do. So yeah, you have to, well, as a person of color, you kind of learn how to navigate through those spaces, and so you pick and choose your battles sometimes. But yeah, it would get annoying.
And that's, oh, go ahead, Dana, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I agree 100%. I didn't have any personal experience with that, but I definitely saw that. Especially because in basic training there was a lot of people from Africa, all kinds of all countries in Africa, and then I had a pretty good relationship. Like I never had any personal problem with other races or colors, but like yes, I think about like here now my best friends in basic training was some guys from Puerto Rico, and there was a dude that was from Eastern Europe that was a good friend. And then during the job training, again, Puerto Ricans. And then I actually found a couple of Brazilian people. Then when I got stationed in Alaska, I actually had a Brazilian buddy, which is rare. But yeah, but like then again in Alaska was because I'm from Brazil, we speak Portuguese, but since Brazil is the only one who speaks Portuguese, I end up learning Spanish by osmosis, you know, just it's similar. So I would just chat with them. They would consider they would even talk Spanish with me, like if I'm fluent, I'm not, but it's funny. But like, yeah, they were my buddies, you know, and I was like one of them. I never had any personal problem with white people, but like there wasn't much mixing. I think yeah, it's just like it's human nature. Like I agree, the army tries to put the rules and enforce the good thing. Like you say, everybody's green. I totally agree with that. But again, in the end of the day, we're dealing with people. And like Emiliano said, yes, like there was a lot of people like from little cities in the south that they never saw a black person. Like when they got to basic training, it's pretty much the first or second time they see a black person because they live like in a little town somewhere in south, you know. So unfortunately, that still happens a lot. And other silly things that you end up noticing, like that's something silly, but I did notice that like the African Americans, they would treat the Africans the same way they would treat the immigrants like me. Like they wouldn't treat them as African Americans. They treat them as immigrants. While the actual Africans, they would treat the African Americans as not really, you're not that black, you know, like they would say like I'm more black than you, like I'm above a little bit. It was like that. So it was an interesting like looking for like a sociology point of view or historic point of view. You pay attention to those little interactions. It's really interesting. Sad sometimes, but yeah.
Absolutely. Going back to what you were just saying, Emiliano, about how you sometimes weren't able to take charge, right? Or people would resist that idea. Did you ever have any military role models that were Latinx, leadership officers, anything like that in your time in?
It's interesting because for some reason the leadership that was also Latinx, for some reason they go harder in on you as another Latinx person. I think it's from their own experience, they know that they need to toughen you up. So they actually treat you worse than what anybody else would treat you. And so honestly, I didn't find many role models that were Latinx just because I just didn't like them. I felt like they were always assholes or something like that, you know? Sorry, I shouldn't have said that, but
No, you're fine.
but yeah, so Latinx models were far and few between, just because. But I kind of understand. I think they were just trying to toughen me up, make sure that if I did stay and I decided to make a career of it, that I would know what's coming. You know, working in that space. So yeah.
And Javi, same question. Did you have anybody that you kind of looked up to, and if so, were they Latinx, or was it just somebody that you really admired while you were in the service?
During my career in the Marine Corps, I admire a lot of people, and I admire a lot of women that I looked up to, not necessarily just Latinx, but my mentors. One of them was Vietnamese, and then I had another mentor um, who was Caucasian American. So, and then I did have my old chief warrant officer who was actually Mexican American, Chicana. So I think I had a positive experience, throughout the spectrum of like, you know, um, cultures, and yeah, I had great mentors, and one of them happened to be Chicana, and others happened to be Americans.
Were
So
they? Was it, sorry, not to interrupt? Was it more the fact that they were? Did you gravitate more towards women then than the? Not,
I
not saying it's good or bad. I'm just more curious at this point.
I did, just because there was fewer of them in the Marine Corps, so there was very few of us females. So I did gravitate more to the only like upper echelon females, and yeah, they, not all of them were like very like approachable, but I was able to build some pretty positive relationships with a few of them, and now as a college student, I still keep in touch with all of them, and just share that mentor mentee relationship that we did in the Marine Corps.
Absolutely, I think that's really important, and I definitely will say my first duty station, I was at the Naval Hospital in DC, and the demographics there were pretty, I would almost say like 50-50. It was like 50 like male female, and then I came to Camp Pendleton for my second spot, and I will tell you, it was shocking to find how many men were just roaming about. There was just no women. There was just you guys were so outnumbered, and it was eye opening to see just how different sections of the military can be in terms of demographics, like in terms of not just Latinx but also in male female. Danny, did you have any leaders that you looked up to while you were in the service? I think you're still muted, Danny.
Okay. So I joined the military a little bit older, after 30. So I was pretty much older or the same age of all the sergeants. Like for example, the thing Emiliano said about the Latin superiors being harder on him, I definitely noticed that, but with females, the female sergeants being much harder on the female privates. That definitely happened. Like again, I agree because there are not as many there, so you need to learn how to be tough. Um, I mean, I didn't have any like role models per se, like, oh, how to be a better person or how to grow, but I had like a few sergeants and a few people that helped me like navigate inside the army, how to make your life easier and to beat the game, but inside the rules, you know, that kind of thing.
No, absolutely, absolutely. Um, if you could speak to a young person, Latinx or not, going into the service, what advice would you give them? Emiliano, I'm gonna start with you.
Um, so I've had to do this a few times, and all I can all I can really do is tell them my experience, you know. And I got lucky with my experience. At least I believe so, you know. I went in. I ended up in Hawaii, so I got to live there. I ended up with some surrounded by some really cool people, some really good leadership, and so. When it comes to my experience, I pretty much, it went down the way I would have wanted it to. You know, I didn't end up deploying. We were scheduled to deploy, but 2 months prior to that, we got the call that we were no longer deploying, even though we had started shipping our stuff out already, you know? So I got super lucky about that I didn't end up having to deploy. And, you know, I just did my time and got out with the GI Bill. So the way I would put it to somebody is that it's a roll of the dice. You know, it honestly is. You don't know what you're going to end up facing when you end up joining. Would I recommend it personally? I think honestly, man, that's hard. Honestly, it would be just case by case. Depending on the economic situation of the person, depending on what their goals are, I think it would be a case by case. What I would say to a younger person, you know.
Yeah, it depends what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we found our new Army or Marine Corps recruiting video though. Would I join? No. Danny, so you would echo what Emiliano was saying, or would you? What other?
When I went in, I already had a family. I was over 30. I wasn't, because a lot of the people that were with me going to basic training, that kind of thing, you were like Javi, like, oh, I want to travel, I want to see the world, I want to see what they have to offer. Like they were like 18 or early 20s, just getting out of high school, something like that. And it was like, it's not like they had a super big perspective or anything. Um, but like, yeah, like just like me, I saw several other people that they had a family, they're trying to provide for the family. Like, what other place you're gonna have like a decent health care, gonna have a roof no matter what, you know. Several coworkers that I had, like people that I served with, they were really poor prior. Like I had a sergeant that was living in a shelter before joining the army, and then I found out several people was like that. So the military ends up being like a nice way of you surviving, like Emiliano said, economic draft. That's the best way. So I was going more for the stability and the education, and then also I was trying to do something that would use my intelligence. I wasn't going for the adventure, because like when I moved to San Diego and working random jobs in San Diego, you always end up meeting Marines, and then all the former Marines that I met, it was like they joined because they wanted to prove they're tough or things like that, you know. So yeah, it depends what you want to do, because like my experience, I actually wanted to join the Air Force because all the research that I did, and I saw the Air Force, they take way more serious the education part. But the green card situation, I wasn't able to join the Air Force. And then I got medically discharged. So towards the end of my contract, I spent months in the hospital, the military hospital. The military hospital was Air Force only. So I talked to a lot of Air Force people, and I saw the way they were treated and the things they will offer, the kind of mentality. I'm not saying it's perfect. No, there was still a lot of problems, of course, still the military, but it was a little bit smarter and more intelligent than the army, the way they would do things. And then if I had the chance, but again, like, do you want to go for education? Do you want to learn more? Do you want to have NCOs that are going to force you to go to school and have a better future? Think about your life after the military, you know, or like if you want to become an officer, something like that, or you want to go for the adventure. So it depends what you want. Um, and then another thing that I would say, study for your ASVAB. A lot of people don't take the ASVAB serious, and it's important. It's like, oh no, it doesn't matter. It's not like you can fail. I mean, yeah, but like your grade is gonna interfere a lot on the possibilities. So yeah, so it depends which one. Because like I had this talk before trying to tell people, but like they want the action, so okay.
Thank you so much. Javi, do you have anything to add to that? Anything that you would tell a younger person? You seem to have come in with your hopes and dreams mostly intact when you came in. So what would you tell someone who was in your same position?
I would definitely recommend it. I believe the military adds adds character to your personality, and there is no there's no losing in joining the military. I think you do something honorable not only for our country, but you know you're able to benefit from all the programs that they do offer you, and you get to possibly travel the world. You definitely get to go to a different part of the country, if not traveling the world. And then you get to meet people from different backgrounds, and you're exposed to a wide range of like personalities. And I think that's healthy, and it makes you grow as a person. The military experience is not going to be like a walk in the park. I'll be lying if I were trying to sell you on that, but I think it's definitely something that you grow from. So, like for me, I had a non-judicial punishment situation that I dealt with when I was stationed overseas, and I think that was like the best thing that could have happened to me, looking back at it. And it wasn't the easiest thing to go through, but I wouldn't have changed my mind. I would have joined, and I would recommend everybody to do that. Just be open-minded and be flexible.
No, for sure. I definitely think I think that a lot of what you said is what I would tell myself, right, as a young person. Like I know it can get it's that idea of like this is where you're going to grow up if you're not already there, right? Because they're gonna force it out of you. Um, the responsibility they put on you, it can be overwhelming when you're young, but it really does make you grow. At least in my experience. I don't know if you guys agree with that or not.
I
Um,
was I was just gonna
oh, go
say,
ahead.
sorry to interrupt you. I was gonna say, like, yeah, do your research before you join. Like, try to talk to people who is a veteran, active duty. Try to talk with as many people as you can. If there's a job you want to do, research that job to see if it is what you want to do. So yeah, because like I had many people that I worked with or basic training or training, and they're like, yeah, my mom drove me and she signed me up pretty much, or just like, yeah, I was there's nothing better to do, so then I just joined, and then it's like whatever, just sign me up for whatever, you know. And then you start doing a job that you don't like too much, and you need to be motivated to do that kind of thing. So do your research prior. That's what I was gonna say.
All right. Let's go ahead and close it out with a little bit of a retrospection, right? Um, Danny, the lessons that you took in your time in the service, do you think that you have been able to apply those as a student and as a member of the community you live in now? And if so, what were they? What were those lessons?
Um, I mean, lessons like, yeah, you learn to be a better person. You learn to listen more discipline, work under pressure, and then also adverse situations. Like I went to Alaska, and then I never saw snow before, and then I just got stationed in Alaska. It was actually the first time seeing snow straight to Alaska. And then I found out it's not that bad because East Coast is worse. Like Alaska, New York, it's way colder than Alaska during the winter. But yeah, you were forced to grow because there's no way you're gonna grow or you're gonna fail or you're gonna get kicked out. And you'd see a lot of people like tumbling and falling, and but then eventually growing. Like yeah, because people usually join early. They don't have many notions of what to do. Like several times, I caught myself like explaining to people how a car loan works, or like how a credit card works. Like how do you apply for a credit card? Like I had to do things like that. And yeah, so end up growing as a person and learning more. You're gonna make several mistakes and get that brand new Camaro 30% APR, but eventually you learn.
A quick aside on that, I definitely know that that's like, at least on Camp Pendleton, there's like 800 freaking car dealers that are trying to give you that brand new Camaro with 4 tires filled with sand or whatever. It's only 50% interest. Buy now, But
Yeah.
Military definitely has some people circling around it that are trying to get you.
Yeah, because they know you're gonna get paid no matter what. So
Yeah, and it's all going to go in their pocket. Uh, Javi, how about you? Any lessons that you learned while you were in the military that you continue to apply as a person and as a student?
I would say, I think if you're a go-getter, if you're a person that is on their P's and Q's from the get-go. So if you're the person that's already disciplined, you already have goals set prior to joining the military. If you're a go-getter prior to joining the military, then I think you'll have a successful career, regardless of the hiccups that you encountered during your career. Because with the right mindset, you're going to be able to like carry yourself through your enlistment. Um, but then with that said, Danny did bring up like if you're not mentally, I would say if you're not mentally, I don't want to say strong, but if you're not if you're not mentally, accepting the fact that you have it in you to carry yourself through your enlistment, regardless if you face adversity. That's something definitely I would think about before joining the military, because then you don't want to waste your time, end up getting kicked out of the military, and then you're just screwed up like your background, on the civilian side, or things like that. So it's definitely something that I would think twice on, and just be sure and be aware, like know what you're getting yourself into. And if you're gonna enlist, make sure that you're gonna stick it out through your whole enlistment and carry yourself through it. So
No, for sure. I definitely, I can tell you the mentally strong thing. I feel like I can kind of relate to that, right? Because like, I joined I went to school before I joined the military, and I can tell you right now, let's never talk about that again, because my grades from there were abominable. They were so bad. I basically got kicked out of school, and I joined the military, and now I'm here and I'm doing fine. I don't want to like pump my grades up or anything, but I'm right. Like I'm making it through. I'm a senior. Everything's going great, and I definitely the toughness that I learned while in the military, because they don't give you another way, right? That mental ability to persevere, like you said, and to be a go-getter were things that I definitely learned while I was in the service. And so I think what you said about being aware that before you join even is a smart thing to have, right? Because I'll tell you right now, I struggled hard before I got there. Emiliano, any lessons that you learned that you continue to apply?
I think the military is a great place to develop confidence in oneself. I mean, through basic training and through a lot of the other trainings that you go through, I mean, it's just set up to develop your confidence, to teach you to have confidence in yourself, to have confidence in the equipment that they provide you with and things like that. So honestly, I think that my military experience helped me develop a lot more confidence in myself and my abilities, right? I also like a lot of the soft skills that I learned in the military, how to be a leader, how to be a team player, how to maintain a schedule, responsibility, things like that, things that like you carried over once you get out, and you can apply them to school and to, whatever job you decide to go into. And so I think there are a lot of great things to learn in the military. I just think it's what you decide to buy into, whether you want to just focus on yourself, whether you're going in as a patriot and want to, serve the United States and its agenda, or, whatever you decide to pick and choose from. I think the military does offer a lot of opportunities to learn great things.
Absolutely. It's funny. Like I going back to me in school, like I remember getting like an assignment and just being like, oh God, like I've got to write like a page on this. Like I'm not going to be able to do this stuff. Like I remember thinking that as a kid, just being like, this is not happening. Like, you want me to do what? No, thanks. Like I just, and now I go to class right now and I'm just like, man, what do you want me to do? Okay. Like I'll have that done. And I definitely took that, from, I definitely took that from my time in the service. Like I definitely am more serious than I otherwise would have been. Um, I'm a little in awe of you guys, just because you guys managed to do it in one term. It may have taken, I definitely was in my second enlistment by the time those kind of lessons definitely took. I may be a little bit more slower on the uptake than you three. That being said, is there anything last here, let's go real military. Are there any saved rounds? Anything that you guys feel that we didn't cover about your experience in the military? Danny, I'll go ahead and start with you.
Let me see. Right place, right uniform. That's the idea.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Right time, right place, right uniform. Especially, oh yeah, because we were cooks, so we didn't wear like the actual CPs. We did use the cook whites. Oh man, that was always a drama, because at least we had like there was the laundry mat inside base that they would do for us for free. But you always, like, every morning we have to be like impeccable. They would check your nails, if your nails are clean, your face, your uniform is pressed and everything. Even the apron, you had to be with the apron in the arm. And then there were days that we have to wear the OCP. So yeah, it's like right place, right time, right uniform. Yeah.
Absolutely. Emiliano, any last advice, phrases, thoughts?
Yeah, I think it would just I always try to push that, we're not all the same. We don't all join for the same reason. And I think this is why this is a great panel, because it shows that we all had our reasons, and that's pretty much what the military world is made up of. It's very different in a lot of ways, in its own bubble, but the people that make it up are just like the people that make up everyday society. You have all types of different points of views, and affiliations, and so I would just hope that you don't stereotype us veterans as one thing, because we are definitely a bunch of different things and then some.
No, that's an excellent point. I think that was one of the main reasons I wanted to do this panel, because like Danny said, too many people think of veteran and they think of my ugly mug, and that's clearly not the only person that's in the military. Javi, any last thoughts?
Yeah, I like how Emiliano just recapped on that. Like, I definitely think, regardless of your skin color, your sex, your gender, I'm sure the American people will appreciate your service, regardless of the color of your skin. So, yeah, serve our country, and just know that there's people of color and different cultures, and it's very diverse, and we're all welcomed. Well, at least I feel like I was welcome, and I think the American people will definitely appreciate, you know, our service, and you know, obviously that there's a few in between, you know, people that, you know, make you feel otherwise, but yeah, don't be afraid and in pursuing some sort of career in the military.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, on that note, I want to thank each of our panelists. I want to thank Javi. I want to thank Danny. I want to thank Emiliano for being brave enough to come out. I want to thank Danny's cat for coming out and sharing their stories, their experiences as military members, as Latinx members of their community and in the military. I want to thank them each for their service. I want to thank everyone who showed up and came to hear their stories. And I hope you guys have a great afternoon and a great weekend. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Thank you for doing this.